What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Des Reacts back. Another banger of a video, man. This one's pretty crazy, bro. It says the disturbing baby murders of serial killer Lucy Letby. I had no clue y'all had a serial killer out there. Sounds like a woman too, which is, you know, another anomaly. Guys, let me know in the comments. You guys heard about this case? Like, what happened? What exactly happened? Let me know in the comments. Let you guys your thoughts and feelings on this video. If you guys haven't already, please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. And guys, I hope you guys had a great week. And you guys hope you guys have a great week this upcoming week. And yeah, man, this is gonna be interesting. And if you guys do know about this case, is it over with or is it still in the process of trial? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. Without further ado, let's get it. Body cam.
Yes.
Lucy Letby, a nurse in the UK, will spend the rest of her life in prison for murdering 7 babies and trying to kill 6 others. We talk with the attorney.
Oh no, man. Bro, she killed 7 babies, bro. Killed 7 babies, man. And hurt 6 more. It makes sense. Like, it's a nurse, right? Like, that's so messed up, man. The little babies, what they do to you, right? Like, families trust you. Like, you're the sole, you and the doctor. If you're a nurse, you and the doctor are like the saving grace for a family, you know, that's given birth because they need you. And then this is how you repay them, man. Oh man, I already don't like this girl at all.
Who represents 2 of the families in this unimaginable tragedy. Welcome to Law and Crime Sidebar Podcast. I'm Anjanette Levy. Lucy Letby's job was to care for babies who were born prematurely in a hospital in the UK. Babies, of course, are defenseless. They can do nothing for themselves, and they certainly cannot protect themselves. The judge presiding over Letby's case said she did something that bordered on sadism. A jury found Letby guilty of killing 7 premature babies and trying to kill 6 others by injecting the sick babies' IV lines with air, poisoning some with insulin, and force-feeding others with milk.
Oh my gosh, bro. In the comments right now, let me know. 1, Countess of Chester Hospital. Where is that at? Like, what part of the UK is that? I don't know. I just don't think I know anyone or could even fathom wanting to hurt a little kid like that.
This happened, according to testimony, over the course of a year from June 2015 to June of 2016. Letby spoke to police back in 2018.
They told me that there had been a lot more deaths and that I'd been linked to somebody that was there for a lot of them.
Did you have any concerns that there was a rise in the mortality rate?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me about that. What concerns did you have?
I think we'd all just noticed as a team in general, the nursing staff, that this was a rise compared to previous years.
The jury deliberated for 22 days before reaching a verdict. Here's Cheshire Police Detective Chief Inspector Nicola Evans following the verdict.
This has been a long and emotional journey for all of the families involved in this case. I speak on behalf of the entire prosecution team when I say that all of their babies will forever be in our hearts. I would like to thank all of the families in this case for their exceptional resilience and strength throughout this entire investigation.
Yeah, that hospital is done. And I'm not even lying, bro. Like, that lawsuit, those lawsuits are going to be insane. Guaranteed. This could have been prevented after the first couple deaths by this girl. If like 2 kids die or something like that, or even 1 kid dies, bro, like from a caring nurse accidentally doing something, they automatically need to get put into an investigation 100%. Then if it clears, it clears, right? But like, this shouldn't happen. Like, there's no way she was able to kill 7 babies and potentially kill 6 more.
Cheshire police collected writings
Like
from
someone
Letby.
noticed. You
One
had to
said,
notice.
"Hate, and I am evil. I did this." After killing the babies, testimony revealed Letby sometimes cried and even made keepsakes for the parents and dressed the babies for their funerals.
Do you guys, your guys' judges, do they wear the white wigs and like the old British jacket? If they do, that's if they do, bro, that's crazy. That's crazy.
The impact of this on the parents of the babies is almost indescribable. Sentencing remarks to the court said Letby specifically targeted twins and triplets and that her actions were premeditated and that she harmed the babies when other staff were on breaks. Then the statement says she would often stalk the families afterward on Facebook, searching their profiles. Letby refused to attend her sentencing for the crimes, and under UK law, there was really nothing the judge could do about it. He could not force her to attend or send a feed of the hearing into her cell.
Why not? How is it not mandatory to be at your trial? Dude, I do not agree with that law. I don't rock that law. You need to be held accountable in front of millions of cameras, in front of all those cameras, man. That's crazy. Yeah, she's sadistic. She got the thrill of searching the family's names on Facebook, seeing what they're posting about their baby. It probably made her, feel good. Probably, I don't know, made her feel some certain type of way when she got that news and stuff. Like, people are crazy, man. She's a psycho. But I think she should have been forced to be in front of the judge. America, bro, you don't get an option to not sit in front of the judge, bro. Especially for a crime like this. Ain't no way. They're going to get you in there one way or another. Whether you're in a straitjacket strapped down to a wheelchair or you coming on your own free will, you're going to be there.
The judge who presided over Lucy Letby's case, Mr. Justice Goss, had some harsh words for her.
Look at his wig.
There was a deep malevolence bordering on sadism in your actions. During the course of this trial, you have coldly denied any responsibility for your wrongdoing and sought to attribute some fault to others. You have no remorse. There are no mitigating factors.
Joining me to discuss this horrific, and I can't emphasize that enough, horrific case is Richard Scorer. He represents two families who had 3 children who were murdered by this nurse. Richard, welcome to Sidebar. Thank you so much for joining us.
3 of his babies were killed by her? Now, you might experience heartbreak, pain, right? But I guarantee you there's no feeling that could even come close to probably losing your own kid. Let me know in the comments if y'all got kids. Don't tell me how many or whatever, but just like, if you do, I mean, what do you think the sentencing for someone like this should be? Life? You think it should just rot behind bars or death? Like, I think people that do this to like serial killers and do stuff to kids and all that, I think they need to bring back, hey, you guys are probably going to scrutinize me for it, bro. Bring back public execution, for real. Public hanging, whatever you want to do, bro. Like, it needs to be, instilled in people's minds. Like, hey, bro, like, that's crazy.
Yes.
Good afternoon.
First of all, how are the families doing, your clients?
Oh, his clients' families.
Well, it's obviously an utterly appalling and harrowing case, and I don't think parents who've lost children ever recover from that. And some of the the detail of the impact on their lives was set out in the victim impact statements that were read in court, and I don't think I can really improve on those. Those did describe very powerfully the utter devastation caused by these murders and the appalling crimes of Lucy Letby. And I think those statements, in a sense, say everything that can be said about the impact on the families, or everything that they would want to say publicly, and obviously said in the sentencing hearing. But I think also it's important to understand that there remain many unanswered questions about this. We obviously know now through the criminal case that Letby was guilty of these crimes. That's been proved beyond reasonable doubt. But there are a whole series of further questions, particularly around the actions of hospital management.
Exactly.
And particularly the sense that hospital management was driven by reputational protection of the hospital rather than by patient safety. And I think those are the questions that I think my clients and many others are now obviously focused on trying to get answers to.
Yeah, and like I said, man, that's gonna be a huge lawsuit. Like, I there's no way this couldn't have been avoided with all these kids. And let me know in the comments, do you guys think all the people she is, accounted for at killing and hurting, you think there was more kids than that they missed, I don't know how many years ago? I think so.
And how are you doing
she
that?
did it
I've
before.
read some stories about how your clients were kind of waved off when they raised concerns. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so after the death of their child, one of the families we represent had some correspondence from Ian Harvey, who was the medical director of the hospital at that time, and the correspondence indicated, although to be honest it was fairly vague, but it indicated that various investigations were being conducted. And it actually invited the family to make contact with Mr. Harvey, invited them to phone in and make contact and get more details. They tried to do that. They've told us that they tried to do that many, many times, but they were unable to get any response out of him.
That's crazy, man.
Any of their calls, and it never arranged a meeting, although the letters made reference to the his wish to have a meeting, but none of that ever materialized. It's important to understand that the families we represent are very, very ordinary people, just normal families. They're not used to negotiating their way through an NHS bureaucracy, a health service bureaucracy, and medical terminology, particularly in circumstances where they've lost children in very traumatic circumstances. So the hospital has a responsibility in this situation to reach out and try to help them through this process, and that unfortunately, I'm afraid, is not what happened. And the sense we get is very much that Harvey was not interested in trying to be candid with them about what was going on, didn't respond to their calls, and they were left very much in the dark about the reality of what had occurred. Now, that was, as we understand it, this was before the police investigation got underway. And
okay, so this was in 2018. All right, so the trial took like 3 years if it just got over.
I think Mr. Harvey, in his response to the newspaper article overnight, has tried to suggest that he was limited in what he could say because of the police investigation. But this correspondence that they received from him came before the police investigation, as we understand it. And so, and as I say, he was actually, inviting them to get in contact and to get more information. And so, their sense is very much that they were fobbed off. That's how they felt about it. They very much felt that he wasn't interested in engaging with them about what had occurred, and that's consistent with with what others have said about his attitude here. And so, we have a situation where families have been through this desperately traumatic loss of a child and were wanting to get some answers. How did this happen? What were the circumstances? And
shouldn't have, man.
What went wrong? And none of that was really forthcoming in reality. And then, of course, the police investigation took over, and that has lasted a number of years and has resulted in the criminal trial. But we still have this issue around the conduct of hospital managers. Mr. Harvey's one of them and a key figure in this, but there are obviously others as well. And that's why we need the public inquiry, the public investigation into the surrounding circumstances.
Have you filed any type of civil action? Do the families have some recourse that way to get answers as well?
Well, that's a part of it that's being dealt with by one of my colleagues here. But I think there's just to sort of give some context to that, because obviously you know, you're an American program. And it may or may not be similar in America, but the reality of most civil suits, particularly in circumstances like this where it's obvious that the hospital are going to be found liable, the reality of most civil suits here is that they will end up being settled. Now, I can't sort of say more about where that aspect of it has got to, but I would be surprised in the circumstances that we now know about.
Yes, but almost every really big company, if they know they're in the wrong, they're going to settle outside of court before it even goes to trial. And it's going to be a figure where basically you and your family probably won't say no to, right? To drop it. But I don't know. Would you guys go to trial for your unborn or your newborn that was just born? Would you guys take them to trial for the civil suit or whatever? Or would you just, take a super big settlement money? I don't know. It sounds pretty cold when I put it that way, but there's people out there that would rather just take the money and just get it over with.
That ultimately that there won't be settlements of civil suits. I'm sure that there will be. I think that's likely at the very least. But of course, when a civil suit is settled, in a sense, you don't get a day in court. You don't get a proper, investigation into the surrounding circumstances and the way in which management conducted themselves and the failures of management and so on. All of that kind of gets ignored in a civil suit, which results in a settlement. There isn't a trial. I know that in America things are a bit different, because sometimes you have kind of pre-trial depositions and other legal processes where information can come out ahead. That
makes sense.
But, in our system, if the civil suit is settled, then or an admission of liability is made, then that wouldn't be a route through which a family can get answers about what has occurred here, what has really occurred here, and the failings of hospital management. That has to come through a public inquiry ordered by the government.
Richard, when you have a child, it's one of the happiest moments of your life. Your clients gave birth to children, and their children were murdered by somebody who was supposed to be caring for them.
Like I said,
I can't imagine what that is like.
Deaths for prime minister, bro. Just like I said, deaths for president. Public hanging, public execution for people like that. Her. She's a devil.
Going through something like that and then coming to the realization that this person did what she did. The judge, I think, called her sadistic, Lucy Letby. Have you ever seen anything like this in your practice?
Because I know that judges in the UK be handing out super light sentences, right? Or they're not judges, are they? I forget what you guys call them. But like, it's usually super lenient charges from what I've seen. Like, I've seen somebody like stab someone 52 times in like a video, and he got 25 years, and everyone else that was with him only got like 5. So it's gonna be interesting to see what the judge does. USA, this girl's getting death penalty, either death penalty or like 350 years type thing.
A nurse, somebody charged with caring for children, not even children, infants, murdering them.
I've been reflecting on that actually over the course of recent events, and I've done many distressing and harrowing cases over the course of my legal work, particularly around things like child abuse and sometimes child murder. And this is undoubtedly one of the most horrifying cases I've ever come across. And I think, when the judge talked about sadism, that's absolutely right. She was murdering children and then, purporting to express sympathy to their parents, sort of stalking parents on Facebook.
That's so weird.
More about them,
so weird.
Even after she had committed the murders, almost reveling seemingly in their grief. So it is especially horrifying, and as you say, in circumstances where your child is born into a hospital
Where's his upper lip at, bro? Okay, look.
In a setting where you would expect that the child is going to be safe, obviously, first and foremost, safe and protected and looked after by specialist nurses who are, seen to be very skilled, and in the vast majority of cases are very skilled and very committed to their job. And we should, when we talk about
she's
nurses,
a clown, dude.
Make the mistake of branding the profession negatively, because most of them are fantastic in what they do. But Letby was obviously something else altogether, and it's just utterly horrifying. There is no, there is no other words fail you when you try to kind of conceive of how appalling it is. And so I think from my perspective as a lawyer, and obviously my perspective is different from that of the parents because I didn't have to live through it, but from my perspective as a lawyer, it's really important. I think the parents share this view that we need to try to do whatever we can to ensure that nothing like this can ever happen in the hospital system again. Mm-hmm. It's obviously always difficult to rule out or eliminate the possibility of things like this happening. But
is this one of the first times there's a nurse serial killer in the UK that you guys know about? Because I know in the US there was like a few of them that were purposely killing people, not only babies, but grown people too.
What you want is a system where any concern that's expressed about something of this seriousness is investigated fully and properly and promptly. And we clearly don't have that in the.
Where is, so is it called Cheshire, or is it Cheshire? Where they're at?
National Health Service in Britain at the moment. There are lots of good things about the National Health Service, but we clearly fail when it comes to the investigation of concerns that are expressed both by patients and clinicians, by doctors within the system. And in this case, we had clinicians expressing serious concerns. It was medical professionals who raised the alarm about this, and then managers who seemingly wanted to brush it under the carpet. I mean, it's as shocking as that. And hospital managers should be concerned first and foremost with patient safety, not with protecting the reputation of their particular hospital. But in this case, it seems that reputational protection, was at the forefront of their mind. And in one of the emails, that was actually what the hospital manager said. So it kind of gave the game away.
So dumb, bro. You're worried about your reputation when there's dead babies.
Or that we do everything we can to reduce
hospitals, man,
in the National Health Service in the future.
One thing I don't really understand, like, the hospitals, all they really need to be is just open and honest that they're doing an investigation. They notice something happened. This person's on suspended leave until further notice, right? Or something like that. Like, it's a hospital. People are going to go to your hospital regardless if you have a little bit of bad press for conducting an investigation or just covering everything up, thinking it's all, happiness and smiles over there, right? Like, if they're just open and honest, you're still going to get customers, but it just makes you look better if you open up an investigation before all this even happened. I can't believe they're trying to sweep it under the rug.
Has Lucy Letby ever made any type of overture to your clients or any of the other families, any type of apology? I mean, what has anything like that occurred?
No, not at all. And you may be aware that when we had the sentencing hearing earlier this week, she refused to come into the courtroom to be sentenced by the judge. So that meant that she didn't hear the victim impact statements.
That's so annoying, man.
On behalf of the families, describing the trauma that they had been through, and she didn't actually directly hear the sentence from the judge, although she would have been informed about that in her prison cell. And that refusal to appear was enormously insulting, actually. And I mean, I've over many years represented many victims of serious crime, and
that's crazy.
It's really important for for justice and accountability, that the defendant is present to hear the court hand down the sentence. I mean,
and not only for the defendant to just hear what he did to people's lives, but these people, the victims' families and stuff, they're just they need to get it off their chest. They need to face their demon, right? Like a lot of people probably feel so much better after they say what they gotta say to that person. Me personally, if she was there and it was my baby, and if she was in the courthouse, I 100% would have fired off on her. I'm not talking about shooting a gun or nothing. I'm talking about, you know, firing off on them. Like, because I'm at least going to try, because like took a little baby, man.
You know, some people have sort of expressed skepticism about the importance of this. It's actually really important for victims to have that part of the process, and it's very, very insulting when the defendant refuses to turn up. And we've had a bit of a debate in this country.
Her buck teeth, bro.
We need to change the law so that judges have the power to either force the defendant to come into the courtroom to hear the verdict, or have the power to require that the sentencing remarks are broadcast into the defendant's cell, or alternatively that other penalties could be applied to a defendant who doesn't attend the sentencing hearing. So, for example, you know, you might have an additional period added onto the sentence, or you might lose prison privileges, or some kind of penalty.
So if I'm right, there's no death penalty in the UK, correct?
Of that kind.
And do you guys think there should be, if there isn't?
And I think there's a lot of public support for that. Some of my colleagues in the legal profession have expressed skepticism about it, but I personally think it's an important change and one that we need to see.
It's shocking to me that she could actually say, I'm not going to my sentencing. As you know, as just a due process type of thing, I would think that the judge would be able to force her to, yeah. But obviously the laws over there are different.
Yeah, and I don't know what the position is in America, but I mean, certainly here the judge was very clear that he didn't have the power to force her into the courtroom, and he obviously, you know, was very frustrated that he was, you know, having to address an empty dock. But that was the reality of it, and I do think that's something that really needs to change. It's as I say, it's a really important part of justice and accountability.
That'd be the worst.
That when those victim impact statements are read out, that the defendant is there to hear them, and then the defendant is there to hear the sentence and the judge's reasons for it.
So the public inquiry will happen. Where else do you all go from here? I mean, these families will never heal from this. This is going to leave them scarred
forever,
for the rest of their lives. But at least they will have their other children that they can love and enjoy.
Oh, what if it's one of their first babies, right? Like,
and I think that, you know, as far as that's concerned, I think that, you know, people rarely, if ever, get over the loss of a child, and I can't, you know, I mean, I think that the families will deal with that in the ways that they can, and it will be, I'm sure, you know, very, very difficult at times. I think that one of the things that is important, and I mean, as a lawyer, I kind of come back to the legal aspects of all of this, is that if we do have this public inquiry, when we're going to have an inquiry, the question is just what form it takes. But if we do have an inquiry, and that inquiry will make recommendations, we absolutely need to ensure that those recommendations are actually implemented. And we've been around this track before. We've had lots of public inquiries in Britain over the years. I've been involved in some of them, and in the medical sphere, where there've been failings in the National Health Service, often the inquiries that have happened have made recommendations, and then those recommendations have been left on the shelf and never implemented, which is really,
you know, I feel like the hospital should be government ran instead of independently ran in the UK, because isn't it hospitals, aren't they? It's free healthcare, right?
Really just desperately poor. I mean, inquiries can be quite an expensive undertaking, and you have the state spending money on inquiries. The inquiry makes a set of recommendations, and then those recommendations are just ignored. And we've had that actually time and time again in the NHS and within the health service, and previous scandals in the health service. We've had recommendations about whistleblowers and what needs to happen to support them. We've had recommendations about issues to do with hospital management, although I think we need to go further this time. But recommendations have been made in the past and not honoured, and that is something that really needs to change. I get quite frustrated as a lawyer who's worked over the years in quite a number of inquiries that we go through a process, we get all the examination of the evidence, we get recommendations, and then they're just left kind of unimplemented, and it's a really, really poor system.
Well, Richard Score, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it, and we hope you'll come back sometime.
Thank you. Pleasure.
That's it.
Yeah, man, that's crazy. I definitely think UK, bro, y'all need to vote and get somebody in there to change your laws, because that needs to be cracked down and addressed. And you guys need a stronger justice system when it comes to sentencing. Like, judges should be allowed to force people. I think all the defendants in their trial, on their hearing, like their sentencing, I think they should have to be in the courtroom no matter what. Let me know your guys' thoughts and comments on that. Without further ado, catch you guys on the next video. Peace.